The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Mock Draft Mondays here on the HighLowSports podcast. It is DJ this time, joined by my co-host Kelcey from the podcast as well, here for another wonderful edition of Mock Draft Mondays, the first one we're going to be doing together this year, and the first one in which we are including trades. And for those of you who are new to our dual Mock Draft Mondays, Kelcey's going to take on the odds this week. I'm going to take on the evens. So there will be trades. There will be two different people picking. There will be a lot of shenanigans. And somebody's going to inevitably get annoyed either way. So, Kelcey, glad to have you join me. And, sir, you are on the clock.
Yeah, this is a great time. And just like the Bears, I'm on the clock today. Look, we don't know what they're going to do with Justin Fields, but I'm just going to assume they're trading Justin Fields at this point in time because, well, it just seems to be the likely case. And with that said, I don't think there's any question who they're going with if they're going to trade Justin. They're going Caleb Williams, number one overall. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. I know I've said what I've said about him, but, yeah, we're going Caleb, number one overall.
Absolutely. It's hard to argue with it at this point necessarily as well. It feels like even if someone doesn't agree with it, it's like, well, we're not going to just mock draft somebody else there because that's just trying to be a contrarian at this point. I mean, we could do what we want in one of these mock drafts. If somebody would like that, let us know down below and we'll do what we would do, not just what we think will happen. But that's going to now take us to the Commanders at number 2. I think there's I think they're going to go quarterback as well. I think they're out on Sam Howell at this point. I think they had fun for a little bit, but they're done. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels going to the Commanders. I think his trajectory has gone up, while for some reason this is the part, like we saw with C.J. Stroud last year, where everyone tears Drake May apart and where his flaws get accentuated. And with Jaden Daniels being the new flavor in town, if you will, after his ridiculous last season, I think he's going to find himself at number 2. And I think he's a little bit more ready to go out of the gate. I think playing those 5 years in college, I believe it was, with the extra year and at Arizona State, I think he's a little ready to go right now. He's dynamic, and you know how much Washington loves to take those dual threat quarterbacks at number 2 almost 12 years ago. So you know what? We're going to keep it going, and we'll go Jaden Daniels number 2.
Wow. So I got to say I had something different planned here at 3, assuming you went Drake May. You didn't. So I'm going to actually go with a trade here. I'm going to have New England trade here with Minnesota at 11. So New England will slide back to 11. Minnesota will take this number 3 spot. And as people might expect here, they're going Drake May.
Okay. All right. So Drake May to the Minnesota Vikings is what you're saying. So the New England is saying we need more than a quarterback, and Minnesota is saying we will take that quarterback.
Yep.
All right. Drake May to the Vikings. Interesting. Okay. Which takes us now to Arizona. And this one is no surprise to me, I feel like. I think if Arizona sticks and picks, which I think they will here, I think with those 3 quarterbacks gone, no one else is going to trade up for a quarterback at 4. And Arizona's not going to miss out on a chance to give Marvin Harrison Jr. to Kyler Murray, especially considering they have another pick later in the first round too. So Marvin Harrison Jr., the first non-quarterback off the board to Arizona.
Wow. All right. So, yeah, it's kind of wild to think Marvin Harrison slides down to 4, though. You got to feel like he's going to be a guaranteed number 3, but given the trades, given the picks we just saw, I mean, I don't see, yeah.
Arizona's not complaining, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I had the Chargers sliding back in this one originally, but you know what? Given what's on the board here, I think it's wild to think they don't go out here and get themselves a receiver, considering all their, they have Justin Herbert. I'm going to go Rome Odunze right here to the Chargers.
Okay. I like it. Rome Odunze keeping up with the trend of big body receivers that Justin Herbert can just throw it up to it. And I think Odunze compares very interestingly to Mike Williams as far as their ability to just get the ball one-on-one. But
yeah, just get the ball to one mark. Let's see what happens.
Weird enough, you put Keenan Allen and Mike Williams together, like you push them together. I think they kind of form a Rome Odunze type with the smoothness of Allen and then the ability to dunk like Mike Williams. So I like that pick.
Yep.
That's going to take us to the New York Football Giants, and I think they are very tempted to go quarterback here. I think if Daniels or May was here, they would 100% do it. But considering the situation, I'm going to say we have ourselves a trade here. I think the Giants are going to look at it and be like, we need to basically make everything around Daniel Jones look perfect. So they're going to trade back, and I think the team that has shown that they have a lot to work on, we're going to say Denver's going to climb up now. We're going to just push this through, get an extra pick. Denver's going to climb 12 spots for a quarterback that Sean Payne allegedly is in love with right now in J.J. McCarthy. So I think J.J. McCarthy his skyrocket ascension continues, and Sean McVay goes to get his guy who clearly is not Russell Wilson.
Interesting. I don't think JJ goes that early. I disagree with anybody who think he should, but I think you're right. I think Sean Payton would sell the house for him if that opportunity arose. So
I wouldn't do it either personally. That's just me. But you know
Yeah.
what? Sean McVay rumors say he loves JJ McCarthy, and I quote. So you know what? Go get your guy.
Hey, well, whatever works for him. I'm going to go Tennessee. They're going to stay here. I think there's no doubt in my mind that they stay. They got a need for tackle here. I'm going Joe Alt right off the top of the
Can't miss that one at all. I mean, it's a perfect fit at this point. If no one's going to trade up with Tennessee, they pick, take the best tackle, keep Will Levis and his May 11 self upright.
Yep,
absolutely. Next, I will take Atlanta now at pick number 8. This is where it gets interesting because I'm going to presume on this one they take Kirk Cousins in the offseason. So I'm going to say they have their quarterback. I'm going to say they think they finally get the pass rusher position down. They're going to go get Dallas Turner, the edge with first defensive player off the board. They got to get more consistent pressure so that back end with Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell can do what they do. So we'll say the first pass rusher off the board in Dallas Turner as well.
Oh, all right. I like it. Well, that'll take us to the Bears' second pick here. And my original plan was to have them trade up to 3 and pick up Marvin Harrison Jr., but I think Minnesota will outbid them for that opportunity to go get the quarterback if that opportunity arises. So with that said, they didn't get MHJ, but you know who they get? Malik Neighbors. So not a bad situation for Caleb Williams to get Malik Neighbors to go with him.
Not a bad consolation prize at all, right?
I take it every day of the week.
Absolutely. So next, let's take us to New York Jets at number 10. And as much fun as it would be to throw them Brock Bowers right here, just imagine Brock Bowers, Garrett Wilson. They need tackle. They need offensive line. They need to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. And we're going to go with Talise Fuaga, arguably the best run blocker in there. Get Breece Hall around the edge. Mauler, athletic, and rumors are a lot of teams like him as tackle number 1 even as well. So I think this is where we see Talise Fuaga go off the board to the Jets, who any form of offensive line is an upgrade at this point. So they'll go and take the best one on the board.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you at all to go there. But that'll take us to, well, for me now, it is the New England Patriots, having them trade up. And I'm actually going to have them go here and get a tackle. I'm going to have Fashanu going off the board here to New England at what is it now, 11. They just saw a tackle go off the board. They don't want to miss out on another one. There are other needs here for this team, but I think they're going to take a safe pick here and go Fashanu as a tackle.
I like that pick a lot. I think that's a really good spot for them as well. Here at number 12, if I'm the Giants, I'm looking at it like I want to trade back again. I think they kind of want to just stockpile as many picks as they can because I think they're going to try and load up. Be like, all right, we could turn Daniel Jones into a Brock Purdy-ish, then we have a chance like we saw a couple of years ago. We need to try and load up with cheaper players around him. But I don't think they'll find a trade partner to give them what they want. So I think they're going to stick and pick. I'm going to give him Brian Thomas Jr., the other LSU receiver, who they could have taken Malik Neighbors where they stayed, but I think Thomas is 6'3", 4'3", flat 40, 215. Just a freak athlete to go on the outside with Darius Slayton, who's starting to come along. Darren Waller, just build something around Daniel Jones if he can kind of return to 15 touchdown form. But if not, then you look to replace him next year. But we'll go Brian Thomas Jr. for the Giants at 12.
No, it makes sense. But now moving on to 13, we got Vegas. I don't know what Vegas is going to do here, and it scares me a lot. I don't know whether they're going to stay and pick. I don't know whether they're going quarterback. I don't know what they're trying to do here. Let's take a look at the quarterbacks real fast. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything before I make this pick. Yeah, no, I'm not. They're going Bo Nix here with 13. I think they're going to stay here. They're going to go Bo Nix at 13, and this is what I'm kind of thinking with them is just like he just slips to him. Maybe they're just like at the Oscar, they're just kind of hoping for a quarterback to slide to them that they have highly ranked for them a top 4 guy. And if what we see happens, I think it's an absolute possibility because you're going to have teams trading up with other quarterback users to try to get something, and they could easily get somebody exciting to them.
Absolutely. You know what? I think depending on what they think of Aiden O'Connell, I do know if Jaden Daniels starts to slip to like 5 or 6, I would be hard-pressed to think Antonio Pierce doesn't go get the guy he recruited to Arizona State as well. So if Jaden Daniels slips, they will fly up that board so quickly.
I think, my original plan was to have the Chargers and the Raiders flop in division at 5, which is wild to think about, but I think the Chargers would be okay getting another receiver later and then the Raiders would be trying to, sell the house here to get a quarterback at 5.
That'd be interesting. That'd definitely be interesting. Definitely keep an eye on that for sure. And it's going to take us to pick 14 with the New Orleans Saints. I think they're going to go with edge, and I'm going to give him Jared Verse, a guy who athletic profile looks like Myles Garrett. Cameron Jordan is getting older. They have struggled to get someone opposite of Cameron Jordan. So here we'll go and get Jared Verse, just someone to go get after the passer in this division. Now that Kirk Cousins is coming to the division, by the way, I'm projecting this. So they need to go, and Baker Mayfield potentially getting a deal too. They got to go hit these.
Oh, yeah, $100 million, $50 million guaranteed.
Well earned.
Yeah. So that'll take us to the Colts, and I think you'd be happy with this draft pick. I think I would be surprised that this guy slid this far, but you know what? I would also not be surprised. I'm going Brock Bowers to the Colts. It just makes sense. Think about the Colts history. They've always had good tight ends when they're successful. So give him Brock Bowers. Let's see what Anthony Richardson can do now that he's healthy.
Absolutely. No one's going to complain about getting a top 10 player in the draft at pick number 15, realistically. Even if tight end's not a big need, I think that's a really good player. And you mentioned the best teams in the league have a really good tight end, a young quarterback, and a really good coach. Well, you got 2 out of 3. Let's go and go for 3 for 3, right? So I like that pick as well. That's going to take us now to Seattle at 16. They need any form of pass rush they can get whatsoever. Their biggest weakness is they can't hit the quarterback. And I think that secondary, which is really good players, kind of hurts from that. Well, they've cut everybody, but I'm going to go and give them a lot too here. I think they're going to take the talented edge out of UCLA, see if they can keep them, for lack of better terms, in the Pac-12 on the West Coast and have him go chase down some of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick at all. I like that one right there. And actually, you can slide it right back down there. And for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm going with the defensive lineman out of Texas, going Byron Murphy here. I think they need a guy in the middle, a guy that can line up in the middle on the edge, do both things well, and Byron Murphy give him that opportunity.
100%. And he can slide up and down the defensive line, whether he's playing next to Josh Allen or on the opposite side. They can find a way to make him more guaranteed. Next, we got the Cincinnati Bengals, who I think they want to go get like a Brock Bowers if he starts to slip or something like that. I think they want to be greedy. But the way this plays out, I think they can't complain. If J.C. Latham is actually here, a lot of people actually think he can go top 10. If he slips to them in number 18, I think they will gladly run that to the podium. You got to find a way to keep Joe Burrow upright. Some of it's his own fault, but you got to do everything you can with the big boys up front. So bring in J.C. Latham for the right side.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think that's a great pick, especially if he slides. I have him really like a top 12 type of guy. I don't think he's going to slide that far, but given what we've seen, it makes sense that he would be the one to slide. Mm-hmm. So that's going to take us, to the Rams here at 19. And, man, they need a corner, and they need a lot of corners. And given our draft picks, there's a lot of good corners on the board. I mean, my heart wants to say they're going to go crazy and go pick Cooper DeJean, but my head says if Terrion Arnold's there, they're going to take Terrion Arnold, and there's no question about that. So give me Terrion Arnold here to the Rams.
I will say Cooper DeJean, what he is defensively is the same guy I think Sean McVay loves offensively, where he could play all types of positions and be very effective at it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he almost in the same way if it is Cooper DeJean as much as Terrion Arnold and everything in between. But next we go to Pittsburgh, who they kind of could use corner too, someone opposite Joey Porter Jr., and they got the pick of the litter here, but I think they're going to stick with the offensive line here to try and help whoever is playing quarterback, Russell Wilson, and then try and get open lanes for those running backs. So I'm going to go with Troy Fatanu out of Washington, probably projected to play guard, similar to what Elijah Vera Tucker was a few years ago. Really good tackle, even better guard. So they take further steps to try and have a competent offense here. So give me an offensive lineman for Pittsburgh trying to solve that unit.
No, I like that. I think that's a good pick right there. That's going to take us into Miami here. And if you could, do me a favor and head on over to the edge rushers here. And then if, let's say, defensive lineman. Couldn't remember which one he was listed as. We're going to go here with the maybe surprise pick here, signing up for Miami. I'm going to go Braden Fisk over Newton here. I think Braden Fisk has the guy that Miami's going to love, a Florida guy. I think he fits everything that you see with what McDaniel wants to do for this defense. And with Christian Wilkins not being there, you got to do something there, defensive tackle. So give me Braden Fisk sliding in there at DT.
I feel like no matter what they do with this pick, I feel like it has to be defense for Miami because of the amount of players they have to let go between Wilkins, Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker. Like they got to retool that defense as well. So I think that's a good pick as well. Speaking of which, the Eagles, what would you say their biggest need is defensively? That's secondary because it was terrible last year. And they need to get some youth in there. They need to get some athleticism. And the two most athletic corners at the top of the draft are right in their laps right now. You got 4-2-8 Nate Wiggins or 4-3-3 Quentin Mitchell. 6-1 and half a dozen other Eagles fans continue to get lucky. I'm going to give them Quinyon Mitchell. I think he's flown up the draft boards. I love his game. I think will fit perfectly right and learn from big play Slay. That's a future Pro Bowl corner in a fantastic situation and a potentially revitalizing pass rush. So Eagles go Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, I like that. Especially if he slides that far. I mean, I feel like this is a no-brainer at that point in time. But that would take us to the Texans, kind of maybe the surprise Texans in a lot of ways. People are not really expecting much out of them last year. They did well. But I think one of the big issues they need to fill, besides a couple offensive line holes, if you look at the pass rush, Will Anderson did a great job of getting towards the quarterback. So if you go to edge rushers real fast for me, please. And then I'm actually going to go here. I'm going to make you slide a little bit. I'm going to go UCLA with Latu.
Latu already got taken, actually. I took
Latu. Did he actually? Oh, you took him already?
Yeah, he stayed in Seattle.
No, Seattle. Oh, I missed that. Oh, no. I knew there's a blank somewhere in my gap. Okay, so in that case, I'm going Chop Robinson. I don't think that's half a dozen of one, 6 in the other. It's you'll take Chop Robinson if he's there sitting for you if you're Houston.
I mean, 4.49 coming off the edge. All he needs is a little bit of an angle, and he's going to chase down the guys like Anthony Richardson in your division as well. So that's a good
you got Will Anderson on the other side. You need somebody with a little bit of speed.
Exactly, a little juice on the opposite end. And that's going to take us to your Dallas Cowboys, who the fun picks here would be Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean, just kind of bolster up that secondary a little bit. But when the Cowboys are at their best, it's when they're taking the pick that nobody necessarily expects. So we're going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to say they go with Jackson Powers-Johnson, the interior offensive lineman out of Oregon. I think that Tyron Smith is leaving. Zach Martin is getting older. They drafted Tyler Smith. They kick him out the tackle, maybe bring in Jackson Powers-Johnson to play guard or center. They continue to just reload on that offensive line. Just if they're going to pay Dak a lot of money, you want to keep them upright. Whoever you have at running back, you want open holes. So they're going to go with the non-sexy pick, but what always ends up being the smarter pick, like they did with the likes of Zach Martin and Travis Frederick back in the day.
Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot. Take all the offensive linemen you can get if you're Dallas. That's going to take us over to the Packers. And while I know the Packers need some offensive line help, it's not where I'm going. And it's because there's a guy on that board that is just sitting there screaming, I'm a Packer. And that's Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean going to the Packers right here at 25. I just think they need a corner. Look, you need help there if you're the Packers. Your defense is what's killing you. So why not take somebody that's going to be helpful? That could play, like you said, multiple positions.
100%. And interesting enough, that's going to give us Tampa Bay at 26, who they have a few different areas they could need. I think bringing in Baker, bringing back Mike Evans, franchise tagging Antoine Winfield. I'm going to go ahead and give them Nate Wiggins here, actually. I think they're going to just take a best of player available, and they're going to look at a really highly ranked corner with really good athleticism, see if they can just add another body on the corners. This time, not an Auburn guy playing corner for them. A little bit of a mix-up there. So
I know. I don't like that as much.
It's not as much fun, but we'll give them Nate Wiggins just a little more juice on the edge.
To be fair, though, I mean, look, if it's Nate Wiggins, it's a sister school for Auburn, so it makes sense that they take somebody there.
The backfield's all Tigers now.
That'll take us to the Cardinals, though. Getting a pick from the Texans a couple years back. So I think this is the last pick they have from the Texans finally. So they're going to take here at 27. There's so many holes on this team. I don't know where to go, to be honest with you. I think I'm going to go here. I'm just going to go best overall offensive tackle, Marius Mims. I think you need everything. You need offense. You need defense. I could honestly go Kool-Aid McKinstry here. Could go defensive line because you don't have J.J. Watt in there anymore. But yeah, I'm going to go with Marius Mims right here. You need something to help protect that offense, to protect that quarterback and Kyler.
Exactly. And you got a couple second-round picks, too, as well, which we're not doing a second round, but that's where they can also load up on other players, too. They got plenty to choose from. So next we got Buffalo, who also has a lot of holes now. They cut a lot of players on their defense. Knowing them, they should go with like a D tackle or a corner or something here. But knowing Buffalo, they're going to get greedy. They're going to go to receiver, and they're going to look at Xavier Worthy's 4.2, 140, and they're going to bring in that absolute dynamite deep threat to pair with Josh Allen's arm opposite Stephon Diggs. I don't think he should go here personally. I think he's a early day 2 pick. But I think that Buffalo's going to look at him running straight down the sideline and Josh Allen uncorking one and say, you know what? Cool. that we want to see that for no other reason. So we'll go take Xavier Worthy climbing into the first round of Buffalo.
Yeah, no, I think the most Buffalo pick out there. So yeah, why not?
The most Madden setup out there ever.
It's an early era Detroit Lions, early 2000s era Detroit Lions pick, which is my segue here into 29 with the Lions. And I'm going the opposite side of the ball here. I'm going defense. You have Aiden Hutchinson there, but you do still need some help on that defense. And I keep thinking, who's their second corner, really? Who's their quality second corner for this team? And I cannot come up with a quality name there. And why not come up with a better name than Kool-Aid McKinstry going here to the Lions in 29? And all the Lions can start drinking a little more of that Kool-Aid than they already are.
You know what? They need help on the defensive end, any sort of defense to help stop the pass, and that's a good spot there as well. It's going to take us now to the Ravens at 30. They have an interesting amount of needs, but I think they're going to look at how this board fell, and they're going to see Adonai Mitchell just hanging right there and be like, you know what? We had good luck with our first-round pick last year in Zay Flowers. Pair him with Rashad Bateman. Odell's hitting free agency. Let's get in another young, dynamic receiver who could play power forward, but also surprisingly runs a 4.36 40 or whatever it was. So we'll go A.D. Mitchell heading to Baltimore.
Okay. I like that. I like giving Lamar some weapons there. Mm-hmm. I hope they do it. And then that's going to take me 231 with San Francisco. I'm actually going to have a trade here. I'm having New England trading back into the first, going and getting a fifth-year option here on a quarterback who is a guy I believe is prepared and ready for the NFL today. He's going to be a guy that, you look at it, you're going to need to figure it out. Let's see if we get this trade figured out.
Right now it's being difficult and not letting me actually trade it. So we might have to just, let's see. Let's go 2 and 3. Weird. Okay, so it's not letting the trade go through. So we're just going to say this is New England taking it then. So this is going to New England.
So New England is going to be Michael Penix Jr. here going to New England as a no-risk kind of late first round guy, a guy you get a fifth-year option on. And that's the goal there for New England.
Absolutely. And plus the extra picks they got as well from trading back earlier, you'll have a little bit of extra ammo to go do it as well. So that's a great spot for them. Just going to take us to Kansas City to round it out. And honestly, if you didn't do that, I was going to have a team trading back up into the first round to go get Michael Penix here. But since you did that, Jer'Zhan Newton looks really nice here, someone to bring in, but they just gave Chris Jones the bag. So I don't think they'll go there. I think they'll go to receiver, and Keon Coleman is there, but I'm going to go with Ladd McConkey, the surprisingly fast, agile receiver who compares athletically to Chris Olave. And then when you watch him play, you think he's a Julian Edelman type. So he could do a little bit of both. And just another weapon that can get open quickly to pair with Rashee Rice. I think it's just a weird match made in heaven. He just gets open. This takes a little pressure off Travis Kelcey in those short and intermediate ranges, lets Rashee Rice get loose. So, and Ladd still gets down the field at a surprising rate. So we're going to go Ladd McConkey, rounding it out to the Kansas City Chiefs. And we got ourselves some very, very good players left on the board from Jer'Zhan Newton, Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman. There's some really good players left on the board. So this was the first mock draft we've done so far this season with trades, and the first one that both Kelcey and I have jumped into as well. Definitely threw ourselves for a loop, having each other take each other's picks. But let us know down below what you think of this mock draft, who you think could be some movers and players, and which one of us should be hired as a GM and which one has absolutely no business ever doing this. Again, we appreciate y'all for joining us for Mock Draft Monday. Be sure to check out our live show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. or one of your favorite places to catch podcasts starting the next morning. We will see you all again next week.